Since we now know more about technology and innovation, of course, and how both go hand in hand, let's now try to decode innovation that lies at the heart of progress and also global competitiveness. Now is the time for our next playoff, the Innovation Handbook. In this, we will uncover the frameworks that foster creativity, collaboration, and technological excellence between India and also Germany. Can we have the video rolling, please?
The world doesn't wait.
Markets shift overnight.
Problems scale faster than solutions.
Technology rewrites the rules.
But breakthrough begins the same way.
With a question.
What if?
What if supply chains could see the future?
What if clean energy wasn't a luxury? What if healthcare was borderless?
Ideas are easy.
Execution is war.
Startups don't just build apps.
They build industries.
They shift economies. India, with scale, speed, spirit.
Germany, with discipline, depth, design.
Two nations, one ambition.
To engineer sustainable value.
Because every what if deserves a what's next.
The playoff begins.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to invite the players for this segment. Mr. Siddharth Basin, MD German India Innovation Corridor, Ms. Anja Hendel, MD Next Gen Management, Mr. Honza Ngo, co-founder and MD Blockbrain, and Jan Frederick Damenheim Quantum Systems. Let's unpack strategies for fostering innovation, of course. Can we please have our distinguished guest here on stage? My colleague Shweta Kothari is standing right there to take the chat forward. Shweta, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Sakshin. Here I thought I'll never be a coach, terrible as I am at sports. Thank you very much, all of you, for being with us here today. So, Germany, known for its innovation, something that drives its economic growth, something that we can envy in India, but we have our own word for it. It's called jugaad, and literally translates into frugalness. And when you combine the two, you're looking perhaps at a powerhouse, and that's what we are here to discuss today. Let me quickly begin with Anja. You know, we were discussing the partnerships that India and Germany can have prior to this session, and we talked about how India's Mittelstand can perhaps combine with Germany's Mittelstand with India's unicorn might, the number of unicorns that India has been able to produce. And when you combine those two powerful entities, you're looking at possibilities. What sort of door does it open for Indian entrepreneurs?
Yeah, thanks for your question. I work for Next Generation Mittelstand. So what we do is we are one of the 10 startup factories of Germany, and we try to build the new Mittelstand out of the existing Mittelstand, who has to also reinvent itself in parts, but also build new startups from academia and from the collaboration. And I think this is the most important part. Innovation, the ground for innovation is always diversity, diverse views on things, bringing different views, problems, and technologies together, and then build something new. And I think this is exactly where the magic happens, and that's why I'm super happy to be here today, because I think this is the mixture which we have from startup, entrepreneurial ideas, technology, academia, but also the German Mittelstand. This is what the land is about. We have a Weltmarktführer in every valley here. So, and we have lots of good academia, but this is also what I see in India and seen for the last 20 years since I started to work there in the early 2000s. So, you just mentioned it. You have an impressive unicorn landscape built in the last year. So it's not that we have ideas here and delivery is done in India. It's really about collaboration and building new things together.
All right. And Siddharth, you represent India, but you also represent Germany. And in your assessment, what are some of the key areas that remain untapped when we look at innovation and innovating for future? Green energy, energy crises, those are conversations that we're increasingly having in India as well. So what are these future areas where perhaps innovation is possible to build deeper ties between India and Germany?
No, absolutely. Great question. So we really believe that India needs a lot of manufacturing expertise at this moment, given the Prime Minister's vision to take India to the next 5 trillion, 10 trillion untapped opportunities that India needs to unravel. And this is where a lot of German innovation can actually be implanted and transported into the Indian industry, because if you typically look at an assessment of some German startups in any region, be it Stuttgart or Karlsruhe or Munich or even Berlin, a lot of these German startups get opportunities to work with good German corporates, which are primarily manufacturing companies, and they do a lot of projects and POCs and venture clienting with these German companies. Given the experience these German startups get from working in this condensed environment of advanced precision manufacturing technologies, they could be a good transport to Indian innovation and actually empowering the Indian innovation that India really needs. And on vice versa, Germany really needs the Indian digital talent and the sort of fast-paced agility that India can power German systems. I mean, there's still fax machines used in German government offices, and that's something that Germany could learn from the Indian ecosystem on being faster and more digitized and having better payment systems, for example. So I guess that's one of the cross learnings India and Germany could take from each other. So.
Payments, that's very interesting. And I think I have a question there for Honza for that matter. So when it comes to India-Germany collaboration on AI, fintech, payments, what's the future looking like for you?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me. Good afternoon. I'm the co-founder of Blockbrain. We are an enterprise AI platform based in Stuttgart. And we help medium to large enterprises integrate AI and utilize the company knowledge a little bit better. And we actually work with Indian engineers quite a lot regarding AI, because we have seen that the talent density is very high. And I think regarding collaboration, it's really about bringing them into the culture also of being part of the team, but not just like a freelancer, but really like having the ownership mentality, having stake also of like regarding equity, so that they really feel that they are part of like bringing AI towards global standards.
All right. Jan, if I were to ask you, what are possible collaborations that India and Germany are yet to arrive at, perhaps something that you see happening in the future? Where does the opportunity lie when it comes to innovation and better collaborations between Indian startups and German Mittelstand?
Yeah, thanks for the question. First of all, thanks for having me here. I'm from Quantum Systems. We are a German-based drone manufacturer with a clear focus on hardware, software, and AI. And this is also the answer for your question. We see a lot of potential in the software and AI knowledge and know-how from India. And this is a very nice hook to jump into the Indian market, not only from the market perspective that there's a lot of potential, but also from the hiring people perspective. We see in diversity a huge benefit and advantage when we take a look at our competitors. So diversity is the key here. And even in defense topics. For sure, there are some more sensitive topics you have to cover as well: security, compliance. Are you willing to share everything, which is maybe your USP in your home market? Those are many questions you have to think about as well. But coming back to your point, I think diversity and the knowledge India has already shown in many impressive projects is something we want to be part of.
All right. Anya, I want to come back to you. Prior to this panel, we were also discussing how to take international company, rather Indian companies international, and how that also continues to be a challenge, and perhaps something that Indo-German partnership will help Indian startups.
Yeah, sure. I mean, in the end, when you start in a market, you normally start in your home market, right? Because it's easy to start. And I think for German startups, India is a great market because it's huge. It's mainly English speaking, so it's not so far away from our culture in terms of language, school systems, universities. The system is from the UK, so it's pretty much the same. So it's an easy entry point for a huge market, for a very young market. So it's very, very special. So it's a good starting point. And the other way around, there's lots of knowledge, we talked about this, which we do not have in this volume, I would say, right? I mean, you see all this, we had just the two speeches before, we heard these impressive numbers of students entering the market with deep technology knowledge. And I know that we have a lot of discussions here, how much technology knowledge do you still need. When I studied computer science, early 2000s, there was the dot-com bubble bursting, and there was India. And I had the same question for everybody. Oh, pity, what a pity, Anya, that you studied technology, because nobody will pay your salary with your expensive rate from Europe.
And here we are, tables have turned.
20 years later, I still earn enough money to buy my food to eat and raise a family.
Well, I'm sure you earn more than that.
So the reality is we still lack the technology knowledge worldwide, right? I mean, the requirements for this is so huge. So we need all the knowledge we can get. We need the best brains out there. And let's face it, have a look to most of the big successful companies. Most of them are led by Indian people. You see how great the education system is. You see what they have to offer. And you mentioned it before. We have a big heritage in building great hardware products. And I think this is a match which will bring us far on an international level if we bring this together.
All right, so that naturally brings me, Siddharth, to the question of, as far as the challenge of technology transfer is concerned, is that something that you've also seen, because you deal with German companies, but you also actively deal with Indian companies? Is technology transfer, R&D, still a challenge?
I would say, yeah, compared to some years before, it's gradually improving. There's more trust coming on both sides, so people are trying to gradually work together in a more trustful environment. Some years ago, IP protection, data protection, and all of those sort of parameters where people typically tend to become skeptical. Say a German university has a good patent or an IP, they wouldn't want to completely start doing a joint venture or partnering in India because of typical skepticisms. But I think over the last 10 years, this has progressed tremendously. Trust in both environments has grown. There are still some challenges around data protection, because I mean that's of course with EU GDPR you cannot let your data reside in Indian clouds, and mostly Indian startups, when they want to work with us, face an issue when they want to work with a German corporate, that they have to set up either a center here or hire a partner here, and that causes some considerable challenges. But we see some good progress already. The governments are working very hard on frameworks, on joint frameworks to tackle those challenges. The international courts also come into picture nowadays pretty swiftly and efficiently. So things are getting better, but I would say some challenges, of course, still remain that need to be addressed on both sides.
All right, so there is progress made in the last 25 years. That is, coming back to you, Honza, you said you have a lot of Indian engineers working in your organization as well. When it comes to AI leadership, India is a little far behind. We are catching the bus, but when Indian engineers go out, they seem to be doing extremely well in Europe, in the US. Talk to us through what does AI leadership look like when we put India, Germany at the center of it. Do you think there is a possibility that you'll have more offices back home in India? And is there something stopping you from picking pace in business when it comes to setting operations in India?
Yeah, definitely. We, from day one, wanted to become like a global company, because we realized that there's a huge benefit of being, of course, a German company, and it's like made in Germany, and the data security part is usually a bit more trustworthy than if we were to be based in the US or China, etc.
Is that a concern with India as well?
Excuse me?
Is that the concern with India as well, data security?
It is definitely, like we mentioned here, it's depending on who you work with, the customers, they always want the data to be locally stored, be it India, be it in US. If we work with Chinese customers, they want the data centers to be in China. So definitely, as we also want to expand to India, because it's a huge market, as has been said before, we definitely need to be on the ground in India, having the data centers there, having operational teams there to communicate with the customers to build trust.
Okay, so I believe, so that continues to be a hurdle. Jan, coming back to you, speaking specifically on the bottlenecks, perhaps when it comes to India-Germany ties, what according to you are some of the challenges and hurdles that, on the governmental level, one has to navigate in order to have better trade partnerships, have more collaborations between startups?
So I think just to pick up some points from my colleagues here, the Make in India policy is a quite clear and transparent policy which you can get into, you can deal with it. It's like doing your homework. If you have to understand it, you have to accept it, and then you have to decide in which kind of direction you want to go. Do you want to have a joint venture with a strong prime in India already? Do you want to keep your USP as good as possible with setting up an own entity? And all those things you have to take care of when you start your strategy work. And coming back to your question, I think it's really important when we also talk about innovation. Where is your power? What is your USP when we talk about innovation? And we are very lean, we are very fast, we have to adapt very fast to innovation cycles. So we want to keep this and also our software and AI power. And then you have a bunch of partners which are willing to collaborate and want to be part of this journey. But you have to stay on the steering wheel. This is our impression and our setup right now for India, that we are still in the managing role and that we have still the capacity, all right, we want to keep our USP also in the Indian entity by using the ecosystem which is already there. So this is a little bit the balance you have to decide for.
All right, now that we know where we are when it comes to India-Germany ties, specifically for startups and innovators, I have some rapid fire questions for you. We are at the last leg of this conversation. And so let me begin with you, Siddharth, and perhaps one line each from all of you. What problem are you solving at the moment and for whom?
The biggest problem that we are trying to solve right now is ease of business for foreign companies on both sides. Bureaucracy is very common to both India and Germany. It takes roughly 16 weeks for a foreign company without any Indian shareholder to form a fully private limited company in India. And I would say it roughly takes 16 to 24 weeks for an Indian company to open a bank account and start a company or a GmbH in Germany as well.
Right.
And that's the biggest bottleneck we face right now.
So that was clearly more than a paragraph. But Anya, same question. What problem are you solving right now and for whom?
I mean, the problem we are working on is we need more startups, so more economical figures that make you smile in Germany at the moment. And that's why I see, and this is always happening when you partner, as I mentioned before, and this is where I see collaborations with startups all over the world are the right way, especially from India. Okay. So this is what I'm solving. I hope to solve this for a little part, my little part for our country. So, yeah.
All right, Hansa?
So the problem we are solving is that a lot of the expert knowledge is leaving Mittelstand companies in Germany and beyond. Like 30% of the people working now are going to be retiring in the next few years. So we are trying to capture this knowledge and digitalize them inside of digital twins, we call them. So this knowledge is accessible to everyone inside the company when they need it at the right place at the right time.
Jan?
One practical thing, export licenses for dual-use goods, but that's on the German side, to be fair. And I think the biggest challenge right now is to set up the entity with all the documents you have to end in and do the translation stuff. So this is, I would say, the midterm, short-term challenge we are solving right now.
All right, coming back to you, Siddharth. What's your secret weapon or perhaps an unfair advantage that you have?
I would say networks. We've got very strong networks. So whoever comes and works with us gets access to our networks. I think that's our secret weapon.
Network is net worth?
Yes.
Anya?
Yeah, I think a great collaboration network. I mean, we bring startups, academia, and Mittelstand together, and this is where the magic happens. So.
All right, Hansa?
I'd say it's our agnosticity. So no matter whether you want to use GPT or Anthropic or Gemini, or you want image generation, text generation, you will stay future-proof basically because you don't have to decide and be bound to one ecosystem with us.
Yeah.
the product for sure, and the global situation right now. So everyone is looking for UAVs, drones in general, and with our product right now we are on the top.
All right, I'm going to start with you, Jan, this time. So if you started from scratch with no precedent, what would you build differently today?
I would stick to the plan right now, to be honest.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, Hansa?
Actually, I can only agree because the market is changing every 4 weeks right now in the AI market, so you cannot really predict what has happened, so it's about adaptability.
Yes.
I didn't start from the beginning, so I just started to work there, and what I see what is be done in a very good way is, and I really honor that what was built there is this big network connections. I mean, it's set in an easy way that the network is, but in a country or in Baden-Württemberg, you have such a big region where you have to know the connections everywhere. It's not like in a big city like Munich or Berlin where you know everybody or meet everybody quite easily. In Baden-Württemberg, you need to take care for a bigger network, for stronger connections in all levels, which is a superpower, but also a challenge. And I'm super grateful to work in this environment.
Okay, Siddharth?
I would again come back to choosing the right partner. So if we would start again, we would know now, for example, to work with TV9 before actually starting. So we would choose the right partners before starting. So yes.
All right, I think I have to end this, but I do have one more question. So what's the riskiest bet you are making? All of you are innovators. You're leading the way. I'm sure a lot of people are looking at you to move the needle when it comes to a better future. So let me start with you, Jan. What is the riskiest bet that you're making right now in your company?
That we are not fast enough, I would say. I think the speed is the crucial point right now, because as I mentioned, defense sector is booming. Everyone has an idea. We see drones companies popping up day by day, and to keep the USP of your product as good as possible and bring it to the market is tough.
Okay, Hansa?
It's actually similar along the lines, like we are not doing enough marketing and focusing too much on R&D and just building a product and just relying a little bit on word of mouth. But I would say that's like the biggest risk because it's like a first mover advantage market right now.
All right, Anne?
Yeah, I think enable our corporate partners to have the courage to really move on, because it's critical times, but now you have to look for your money, but you have to be proud enough, to brave enough to make the big steps and the big bets in new ideas, which bring you out of the comfort zone, and that's the biggest bet we do.
Siddharth?
We've been imposing the Indian ecosystem on Germany for many years. Next year, we're going to do the German ecosystem in India, and I think that's the riskiest bet.
As risky as it gets, but much needed there. Thank
Absolutely.
you very much, all of you, for taking time out for being here with us today. Let me call Sakshi back on, and I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Referee Shweta. Thank you so much, panelists. Can I please request you to please stay on with me as I also invite Ayush Sridharan and also Ruben back here on stage for a shawl presentation.
Thanks. Yes.
Thank you so much for your amazing contributions, ladies and gentlemen.